Trumpet number 1, methane gas. Tax the farmers and the station owners. It's their fault. It's nobody else's fault. Just tax the farmers and the station owners. You know, never mind that the gas industry, petroleum industry produces enormous amounts of methane gas, and that's recorded by satellites, seen in the sky by satellites. But we're going to trumpet number 1, methane gas. A lot of people go on about, you know, carbon emissions, and we've got to reduce carbon emissions, and the UN are doing it, and financing it to the tune of 10 trillion a year as they work out their elitist plan. But people aren't relating this to scripture. You know, they're saying, well, if we're going to reduce the cars in, say, Australia, then we have to start buying every car that's sold from today, being August 2022, would have to be an electric car, and we still couldn't meet the carbon emissions targets, which is a 43% emission reduction, carbon emission reduction in Australia by 2030. So how can they do that? Well, let's have a look at what the scripture says. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and I've shown that many times on this YouTube channel, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees was burnt up, and the third part of the grass, green, and all the green grass was burnt up. Now hold on a minute. Now we've got to say, why all the green grass? Why not the brown grass? Why not the dead grass? Why the green grass? Well, because that's where the cows are. That's where the sheep are. Well, not so much the sheep go on stations, and the cows go on stations as well. But, you know, if you're going to tackle the majority of the cows and sheep, that's where the green grass is, like in New Zealand. And the green parts of Australia, around the east coast and Mount Gambier in South Australia and so forth. And over the world, you know, the milk cows need green grass. So let's get rid of let's have a targeted event. Revelation 8 verse 7, a targeted event to burn up the green grass, to create a starvation event of basically, you know, if they're going to catch fires to the methane gas, as the cow breathes in the gas and it's caught on fire, bingo, you got no cow left, have you? So we're going to kill the cows at the same time as we're going to burn up the grass. And now there's all types of technology to do this, as shown on this channel over the years. But you know, hadron colliders and drones can create the spark, if you like. They just got to spray all the methane gas, presumably, or just let it spread out, as they are doing. As you can see in our book below, 7 Trumpets Sounding God's Warning, a general overview. So the link to that book is below. But now we're going to watch a video of a news report about farmers in New Zealand being taxed.
While belching is widely considered to be rude, livestock don't seem to care. All day, every day, they burp. But it's not the act of burping that's the problem. It is the methane that they release into our atmosphere. The average cow emits a whopping 220 pounds of methane gas a day. Well, New Zealand is doing something about it by taxing burping livestock. Mike Drolet explains.
With a population of just 5 million, New Zealand's carbon footprint is relatively small. Its hoof print, however, is through the roof. And now, in a world first, New Zealand farmers will have to pay a tax for every one of the methane-emitting 10 million cattle and 26 million sheep that roam the scenic countryside. The farmers will be able to mitigate their tax burden if they lower emissions by modernizing their operations. Where the program could fail is if farmers pick up and move their operations to another country.
When you shut down farms and they go someplace else, then that doesn't mean that the demand for these products that these farms used to produce all of a sudden ceases to exist. The demand is still there and will be satisfied by somebody else elsewhere in the world. And that means that emissions will simply shift from one place to another.
Cows and sheep are ruminant animals, meaning they have four-chambered stomachs that act like fermentation vats that create methane, 95% of which comes right out of their mouths. As far as greenhouse gases go, methane traps up to 36 times more heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide does. And that's bad. But while the carbon dioxide we emit today will stick in the atmosphere for centuries, methane dissipates in far less time.
The good news is that methane is short-lived. It only lives about a decade in the atmosphere, and then it's killed, it's destroyed.
New Zealand is hoping for the kind of success seen in California, which has reduced the methane produced by its dairy farms by 30%. However, California did it through incentives, not taxes.